Welcome back to the 150K podcast. I'm your host, Joe Graham, where we help take your dreams to six figures and beyond. Today, we have a special guest back again, Liz Benny, the queen of Kapow. Last time she came on, brought a ton of value, did a bunch of stuff. That was almost a year and a half ago. I'm actually happy I'm still doing the podcast, but Liz, catch us up to where you're at and tell us a little bit about why you have lions in the background, because that's the first thing I noticed when we hopped on the Zoom.
Oh my gosh. Well, hello everyone. Liz Benny, the Queen of Kapow here from Christchurch, New Zealand. If you want to kind of try to work out what my accent is, although I might slip into my American version of my accent on the show. Dude, a lot has happened since we last caught up. I think it was in Montana when I was in Montana last time, or I don't know, I was
Yeah,
around
yeah.
somewhere. And it was amazing. So much has happened since then. I don't even know where to start. But life is 20 times more amazing. I don't even know how to quantify it. I'm more peaceful, I'm more profitable, I'm more impactful, I'm more transformational. My marriage is better, my health is better. Like everything, I guess, we go for that 10x life sometimes. Everything is better. It's amazing.
So, what was the catalyst for that change? Because life doesn't just change. There's something that we've had to go through for it to actually provoke good, bad, and different. Something had to happen if it's better.
That is such a brilliant question. And I just realized I didn't answer one of your other questions. So, why do I have lines in the background? Lots of different reasons why I have lines in the background. And if you want to look at it from a spiritual perspective, if you want to look at it from there's lots of different ways you could look at it. For me, the lion's roar. For me, there's always been this that the powerful lioness, the powerful lion. There is something about it, and it was interesting because a couple of years ago, one of my now very, 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 very dear friends, and he's always been a dear friend, Cody Jefferson. He like the lion was his symbol, and we had a little bit of time off in our friendship, and it's interesting because he kept praying for me during that time. There was someone that actually came into our respective lives and drew us apart, told lies, and
Mhm.
we didn't even know what was going on. Like it was a crazy ass situation, and I always kept the lion, and he always kept praying for our friendship. And so part of this is a mark of love and respect for my friendship with Cody. Part of it is just that the lion is a very powerful beast, and I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, and well, not even just as entrepreneurs, as people, we need to connect to something that we feel is more powerful than us in our weak moments. So for me, the lioness energy is one of those energies. And then you can look at it from a biblical perspective as well, and then go, there are very strong references from a biblical perspective there that there is, there is a possibility for us to shift and change and become, and let parts of us die that are no longer needed, no longer serving us, so as to become the new version of us, which kind of loops back around to your question, your second question, which is like, what was this? What changed? What shifted? And for me, my life was already incredible by societal standards, shall we say.
Mhm.
I'd already paid off my house. I'd already reached, if you think about it from like, I'd already impacted thousands of lives, and I did reach a point in my life where I was like, what is next? Because that, it's not that it felt easy to create that, but I ticked off a lot of life's big things, things that people sometimes, it takes them till 60, 70
Mhm.
to even do a little bit of what it is that I'd manage. And I guess I had some guilt in that regard too. So I've done a lot of healing. I had survivor's guilt, like literally survivor's guilt from, we had a massacre here in New Zealand, and in Christchurch, New Zealand. Felt horrible about that. So there's been a lot of subconscious, I really delved into resolving past traumas in my life that were driving me subconsciously, that I didn't even know that I didn't even know. Because I got
Mhm.
to the point, beautiful Joe, where I was like nothing's wrong, but also I don't feel like I'm thriving. I don't feel like I'm being all of me. I
Yeah.
don't feel like I'm as big and as bold as I have the potential to be, and my capacity. So that's that's the underlying thing. Like my marriage was good. Now it's great. etc. Like everything leveled up.
It's still because, and I've dealt with it because I've been like a super successful salesperson. We're pretty much out of debt. I just pay on the house. That's it. That's huge. A lot of people aren't at that point, getting to those different levels. And then I would win awards. I would do stuff, and it was like, what's next? And I started helping people. And it's like, what's next? And what I'm hearing you say, and tell me if this is what you're saying, is you had to almost go inside and find out what is it for Liz Benny that works and makes you happy, whole, and be the most effective you can be, not what outside forces say.
100%, because in Kapow, like I'm Liz Benny, the Queen of Kapow, and Kapow always starts with connection. I think I knew that there was a deeper connection for me possible in all of the key areas of my life. A deeper connection to God, source energy, a deeper connection to my wife, a deeper connection to my customers. And it required me to unshackle in order to, because a lot of the time when we're not having the connection that we want. And by the way, the reason why I say Liz Benny, the Queen of Kapow, is the K of Kapow stands for connection. And for those of you that are wondering, Liz, are you a little bit silly right now? Connection is spelled with a C. Well, yeah, we as entrepreneurs need to break societal rules that don't work for us
Hmm.
because, so that's why I
Yep.
literally break a rule. So yeah, Joe, it was about deepening the connections that are possible because at the end of the day, you can have a brand new house, you can make $1 gazillion. But if you're not connected to loved ones, and if there's not a deep connection around that, it just feels it can feel so much better with love, with connection.
No, I love that. Like as you know, we just literally moved to Arizona, moving more into
Mhm.
where we feel we want to be. And it's like I'm going through that whole process of what do I really want? Because I have a new day job, whatever. I love doing this with people. I love helping people. And it's just like, it's not the words anymore. It's not the surprises anymore. It's I want to impact people. I want to live the most fucking fun life I want to have. And I want to just do what makes me happy, which when you met me, I didn't talk that way. I still had that little thing. And I'm not by any means out or where I need to be yet, but I it's like that progression of I guess doing the inner work. So I'm going to ask you this. I'm pretty sure that you've done some of that, and you even said you had some regression or some guilt because of like the masculine, just different stuff. What type of inner work, or what have you done to level that up? Because I know you're saying you've had the epiphany of it, but was there certain practices or techniques you did, or just life happened and it changed you?
What a great question. So it started like my questioning around my subconscious programming came when I realized that there were recurring patterns in business where I would reach a certain threshold and it was almost like magically I couldn't get above it. And then there were recurring patterns in my marriage, like recurring themes where there would be dis-ease in my marriage. And I was like, right. And I'm very dyslexic. And I love being dyslexic. What it allows me to do is I see patterns and I see pictures and I'm like, oh, that was
Mhm.
there, there, and there. Great. And that was there, there, and there. So when I was able to do that, I was like, huh, look, despite all the books, despite being, famous in certain areas, despite the awards, despite all that, there were key areas of my life where the recurring patterns, I felt like they needed to be addressed at a different level. So I was like, well, I've read the books and I've journaled and I've talked with people and da 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 da. What else could be going on? And I dived into the world of subconscious and superconscious and programming and what I don't know. So for me, it became a process of resolving trauma that I didn't even know that I didn't even know. And some people probably call the shadow work or whatever, but I dived into, and it's now actually part of my programs because, you know, I I've had the good fortune of being able to help people make a crap ton of money.
Mhm.
And some of them were programmed to keep it. Some of them were programmed to not. And that became a concerning factor for me because it actually made me feel bad because sometimes when you help someone make it and then they lose it or they find a way to get rid of it, they often have worse feelings than when they started with you. And I'm like, oh man, like how can I help people better? So this is a long-winded way of saying I used superconscious, subliminal, subconscious reprogramming that is super powerful, and it's now part of my program to help make sure that people have those fundamental unshacklings that they're life-changing unshacklings. So yeah, that's part of the big up level here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does because your subconscious is 95% of what you do. So if you
Mm-hmm.
don't change your subconscious, you're going to have the patterns and stuff you do. I am actually a little bit dyslexic and ADHD, and I see in patterns too. Like I will watch stuff, and it's sometimes it's a gift, and sometimes it's frustrating because you're like, oh crap, they're gonna do that again. No, and you can't stop them because it's their pattern, not yours. And then you have
Mm-hmm.
to learn your patterns. But I think for me lately, I've been trying to do it with music. I've been doing it with some reading, with podcasting. But then I've gotten into stillness and walking and just doing things and being intentional, which for me has helped because again, I'm always busy. And if I have stuff around me, I'm distracted. So no, it makes perfect sense.
Yay, that's amazing. Isn't being dyslexic one of the greatest gifts, but also the greatest curses?
Well, it's a superpower. You know, it's a pattern in most highly successful entrepreneurs. There's four things they have. They're either dyslexic or ADHD. They've had a super traumatic event in their life. They are, oh, I forgot the other two. Well, I remember two of the four. There was four patterns. I used to remember four of them, but those two pop out all the time. And I think I still like it because it's just a different. I know you think this way. So this is a softball thing, but it's just a different way you look at the world. It's
Amen.
not.
Yep.
It's not actually most dyslexic people are super smart, like
Yeah.
crazy smart.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Like I love my dyslexia now. And once I got through the trauma that actually was my childhood trauma, like I remember being at high school, and we all had to read a chapter of this history. I don't know. Let's just say it was World War II, whatever it was. Maybe Stalin was doing something. Literally don't know because I wasn't able to get any of the information in because my response to needing to read was way different from most other people. So we all had to read a chapter. My version of that is I would go around and I would count everyone to see. So let's just say there were 10 people and she's on that chapter. And then I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great, cool. And I would count the number of chapters so that I could go and read my chapter and prepare my chapter before it got to me so that I didn't look silly. Now, what that
Mhm.
meant is I didn't take on any of that information. Excuse my voice. I didn't take any on any of that information, and also I still stumbled through mine.
Mhm.
Now, once I realized that I was dyslexic and it was a superpower, and I reprogrammed my belief system around dyslexia, that's when like I can read super fast in front of people now. But there's still moments when it comes up, like when I'm watching Netflix and it's like and the subtitles come up, and I just you will never catch me watching a movie that is just a captioned movie, and the only way to like they're speaking French and it's captioned. You will never catch me watching one of those movies ever. It's just too hard.
Well, and it's interesting because it hits differently. Like I can't like spelling is where my problems come. I'll spin words around and do stuff. Like I can read. Like my wife and I watch telenovelas because she likes them. It's something that makes her happy and they make me laugh. So that's not my problem. But like if I were to have to write it out, I spell stuff so badly. That's why I like
Yeah,
ChatGPT and I type. And if you follow my content, like I type a lot of shit. And I'm like, but a lot of times I put in ChatGPT, fix grammar only. Don't change my voice. I don't want to sound like a robot. But that's an AI joke. I like AI. But I think that's just interesting that we find it's probably why we're entrepreneurs, though, because we find creative ways to solve problems. You had a problem with
absolutely.
reading, so now you found a different way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. When I realized that I see in pictures, and that's where my ability to create anagrams and create frameworks came from. I'm like, oh, well, this is just a picture. I just need to create a picture of this. So, and then that's why I've become a really good teacher because I can now, I teach in pictures, I teach with voice, I teach with all the different modalities that a person would need to receive the information, be it verbal, be it words, be it pictures, so that they can receive the information and learn it in their way. Does that make sense?
No, it does because I actually had a guest on today on the podcast, and what she does is she goes to children and finds out how they learn, takes all the
Yeah.
labels off, all the stuff off, and just finds that person. And she's like, the parents are trying to tell me that well, my kid has this, like this. She goes, I don't want to see anything. I just want to talk to the human. And she develops a course based off of them and how they would learn. I thought, that's brilliant. Why do we put people in boxes when everyone's so creative and different?
Yeah, that's incredible. What a blessing that person is having for those children, because they don't have to learn that they are dumb and then have to unlearn that they were never dumb.
Right,
That
right.
if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, society would put them in this box that they are, but in reality, they're not. It's just people like to label things instead of address issues, which is something that I think most people deal with. So when you're dealing with entrepreneurs, I'm going to shift here a little bit and you're helping them. Is it more because most entrepreneurs want to be super successful and get their worth from what they achieve. How do you help them understand that being them is the actual way to success instead of people pleasing, for lack of a better word there?
I love that question. And the first thing that I would say to that is it's not for me to make a judgment upon how a person receives what they need to receive to make themselves feel good. So that's the first thing that I would say is that, I mean, my definition of wealth is different from other people's definition of wealth. So when I'm working with people, one of the first things that I do is I work out what's true and right and real for them, and then assist them in becoming more of them and stepping into their power more as it. So I have this phrase: life is all about the perfect effing balance. And the effing stands for faith, family, friends, finances, freedom, fun, like whatever, like, and you get to have all of whatever is important to you. But often there are three top F's, be it fun, freedom, finance, for example. That's actually one of my clients that just started not long ago. Fun was her top one. I was like, oh, this is going to be good, because I love fun. Like, I really
Yes,
love
I know.
fun. So fun, freedom, then finances. So for her, finances, an increase in her finances came through the portal of freedom and the feeling of freedom, and also the emotion of fun. So, to your point here, yes, a lot of people have been societally programmed to seek the awards, to seek the Rolex, to seek the better car, to seek the da 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 da, as a mark of status, as something that they can then, like a badge of honor or whatever. Hey, look, daddy, I've done it. Hey, look, mummy, I've done it. It's interesting because the more that you unshackle from the belief systems that were never yours and that were imposed
Mhm.
upon you in the early days of your life, the less those things matter anyway. Like, I don't care about the things that most people care about. Period. I haven't looked at my bank account for, I would say, 6, 7, 8 years. I just haven't looked at it. Why? Well, I mean, look, I'm not silly. I'm not being silly here. Like, I know what my net worth is, etc., etc. But I don't go in and check my bank account as a status symbol. I don't seek things, and here's why: is because what matters to me is things that money can and can't buy. Okay? So people that say money can't buy happiness, I would say that they haven't given away enough of it in order to
Right.
understand that there is a beautiful. But then, if we look at what's actually happening, then it all comes back to connection, which is the start of Kapow. And the reason why I say this, and I was literally interviewed on a podcast yesterday where I end up like, I think it all starts with connection. All problems start with disconnection. All solutions come from connection. So when a person is connected with what is true and right and real for them, and aligned with what is true and right and real for them, and walking in their purpose, which is the P, and taking ownership, which is the O of Kapow, they get to live what their version of a wealthy life is. So again, it's not up to me to impose my belief systems upon others. I help people do what is right for them. Yeah.
Which I love. And this is something that I've gone through now that I've gotten older is if you don't challenge a belief system that you have, is it really yours? I think too many times we get caught in this is what my family said, or this is what I've been taught, or this is the little country town I came from, and this is how they thought. And I keep trying to submerge myself in other cultures, other ideas, other thought process, maybe that I don't agree with, but I was like, how would I know something's mine if I just accept what someone told me? So I loved what you said there of building that life that you love. And it's kind of something I've just been shifting to more of instead of just selling or teaching sales. It's just helping people build a life they want to wake up to. Because at the end of the day, that's what you want to be.
Amen. 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 There is an amazing analogy that, if it's okay with you, that I would love to share with your
Mhm.
audience. Is that okay?
Yeah, please do.
So if you imagine that your life is a submarine, as in you are in a submarine, and that submarine is deep, 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 deep below the surface of the water. And everything in that submarine is your house, your belief systems, your children. Like your reality is in that submarine. That's what you eat. That's what you think. That's your belief systems. That's what you have access to at this present point in time, based on the awareness that you have. Now, I realized one day when I was sitting in my office in my other house, and I was sitting there, I was like, there's got to be more than this. And I was like, oh my gosh, there is. Like when I'm traveling, I see more than this. Well, what is the difference between how I'm thinking and how I'm acting and how I'm being when I'm traveling versus now? I'm like, well, now I'm in a sedentary state. Now I'm operating based on this. Now I'm in my normal. Well, I'm like, well, what can I do to feel connected to higher possibilities? I'm like, well, and then that's where the idea of the submarine came from, because all I need to do is put the periscope up. All I need to do is put the periscope up. And by the way, sometimes there's an analogy here that it's not just a matter of putting the periscope up, because if you put the periscope up and you're so far down underneath the surface of the ocean, then putting your periscope up is not gonna you're not gonna see anything different. You're just not. Now, I am not a Navy SEAL, so anyone listening to this right now is probably like, Liz, you suck so bad. And I don't apologize because I don't profess to be a submarine expert. But I think we can all understand here that you actually need to raise yourself and raise your expectations of your life enough to understand that there is a different way. There are people making a shit ton more money than you. There are people who are quite literally living the life that you, at a cellular soul belief system level or a cellular soul level, you could get to if you change your belief system. So my expectation of myself is that I continue to raise my belief system as much as possible in alignment with my possibility.
No, I deeply vibe with that because I think we get so caught up. Like I do it even weirder. So like we went from Tech or Michigan to Texas, right? And I had to get out of the place. And now I know I'm going through a transition and all. A year ago, we came here and we looked. My wife and I looked at each other and said, "What if we just lived here? Just a thought, not anything crazy, nothing there." I applied for 3 jobs because I had the day job, got an offer that I couldn't refuse, moved over here, but I knew that I had to get closer to what our dream is. One of the things we want to do is have condos in Hawaii, and I want a cabin in Montana just because Montana's crazy and I like that. And then my connections here are way better. It was a year. It was like it was almost a whim. It was almost not even a. I'll be honest. It wasn't an intentional act in the beginning. It was just like, oh, this sounds like it's good. Then all of a sudden I said, well, what if I actually put effort into it? And I just started actually thinking about it and dreaming about it. And all of a sudden, like within a year, it happened. And I'm sitting here thinking there's so many things that we limit ourselves to because of what other people say or because of our own limiting beliefs. And in reality, the sky is crazily the limit. I loved your periscope or the telescope periscope thing because it's true. If you are still too far deep and you raise that up, you're just going to see murky waters. But as you rise up, you will actually break the water and see the sun rise. And I think that's part of having the right people in your corner as well, because you need to have people to see your blind spots because we all have them. So long about story there, to come back to the question of this, how has that impacted? Has your group and circle changed as you've gone further up and further in, as Lewis would say, or how is that going?
I love that. So I have certainly become more refined in who I choose to uh, associate myself with, spend time with, because I am acutely aware that whoever I'm hanging around with, I am being programmed by, not just by their words, but also their beingness. Their Because we are like there is collective consciousness. So I can actually feel the difference now. I have three coaching programs. One is called Kapow Club, one is called Kapow Accelerator, and one is called Ultimate Kapow. Now, Ultimate Kapow is a seven-figure sisterhood. Kapow Accelerator is helping people, accelerate in their business, some of whom have hit the seven-figure mark, but many of whom are in the six-ish figure mark. And then the people in Kapow Club are looking to make their first sales.
Mhm.
When I'm coaching those various groups, it feels entirely different. It feels way different as they coach. The questions that are being asked are very different. Their problems that they're seeking to solve are different problems. And it's become, so that's a really good analogy of saying who I'm hanging around with, like I need to be careful, especially
Mhm.
because I'm a highly sensitive person as well, as an HSP, like empath, HSP. So I've got to be really careful and mindful of that. So to your point, yes, it has shifted and changed, and it's not necessarily because I was already very well connected. Like
Mhm.
I can press a button on my phone and be connected with some of the most incredibly influential people, and I'm very, very, very grateful for that. So it's not like I cut certain people out, but I erred on the side of making sure that I was leaning into and learning from and hanging around people that were at my level or above. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's the progression because the people that you meet in the beginning of your journey are not always the ones that you stick with. It doesn't mean they're
Mm,
bad people. It just means that for that time period, it worked good for you. And then when
mm,
you first started out and you're helping six-figure people, now you move to seven and more, it's a different conversation because their ability to do things, their ability to see the world, how they perceive things is just way different. Like even when I'm
mm,
training salespeople, it's the same thing. If they're first starting out in sales, I'm not going to give them advanced tactics. I'm going to be like, you need to make phone calls. You need to do emails. You need to do the thing. So I think that's good. And then just having the right people in your corner that can speak into your life that will help you become the person you need to be. Because I think so many times it's there. So here's my other question because I am very sensitive to people and energies as well. I've learned more how to protect my energy with it, but do you go more off of your intuition when you start talking to people, or is it more you how do you approach that? Because I have found myself more that if I feel like they're not right, whether or not everything lines up and it looks great, I listen to my gut now way more than I used to, and that's helped. But I'm just wondering where you are because I know you're very sensitive to that.
Such a great question. So I think there were two questions in there. So in terms of like allowing people into my world, always go with how, like, if there are alarm bells going off, I listen to the alarm bells because every single time that I haven't, it's ended up being it could be a cancer in the well, as in like you bring in a client that poisons the pond for all. That doesn't, so I will not take on a client who is going to be in a group coaching program. And I literally just said no to someone the other day who, it was going to be a $50,000 sale, and I was like, I do. It is too costly to let that $50,000 into my world.
Mhm.
The cost of it would probably be 1 million. So I'm not going to do that in any way, shape, or form. And like that's the financial cost, but it might be vibrational cost, energy cost, bandwidth cost. Like it's just too much. It's not worth it. So yes, in that regard, always listen to my intuition there. And I also need to be mindful that I could be triggered as well,
Mhm.
because there is a difference between listening to your trigger or listening to your gut. And sometimes it can just be fear cropping up based on something that happened to you in the past. And it might have been resolved, but you might just have remnants of that. So for me, yes, I listen to my gut and I make sure that I'm not being reactive inadvertently to something where I need to grow. Does that make sense?
Totally, because we all have past trauma. We all have past stuff. So, like, if I'm around certain things and there's a certain person that reminds me of someone from my trauma, I'm having alarms go off. That's probably not my intuition. That's my cellular structure responding to someone. And it might not even be them. It may be they look like that person or they said something that a person that hurt me said. So, no, I understand the difference there.
Mm, mm. It's a very important part of what we choose to do as entrepreneurs and as humans, we need to be very mindful from an energetic standpoint. So when I'm working with people, I'm relying on my intuition 95% of the time because I've done the work, I've got the tools, I've got the structure, I've got the, I've sometimes I think that people feel like they need to over prepare or they need to prepare and prepare, prepare, prepare. And then what they're actually doing in that regard is they are actually inhibiting their ability to connect to their creativity, which is a higher, it's just a higher vibrational capacity. Like you just know, right? So when
Mhm.
you're operating from your knowingness instead of a overly logical controllingness, that's when like it's so much more fun. There's so much more ease and flow when you allow. So I don't prepare for coaching calls anymore. I just don't.
Mhm.
I mean, I make sure that I've got what I need to be able to like logically, assess people. I've got it. I've got it there to bounce off. I've got all the details. But then I listen to the whispers and I look at the vibrational shifts and changes in people. Yeah.
No, I love that because I am the same way. Like I am not
Mm,
your structured sales dude. Like I can give you systems and processes because I know that, but I like to come in and take their chaos and make it into order or give them a specific system that works for them. So no, that
mm.
that makes perfect sense to me. Um, I want to shift here too because I know there's been a lot of stuff since we've talked last. You have a new podcast or a kind of a newer podcast where you talk to millionaires. What is the name of your podcast again, so I don't butcher it?
It's the Happy Millions show.
The Happy Million show. So how has that been going? And what has been one of the funnest is I guess that's the right word. The funnest guests you had. You like the word fun? I can use that. It doesn't mean your other guests aren't fun. I'm just like, who's been the funnest person you've gotten to talk to on that show, or a funny
Oh,
story if you want to go that way.
that's amazing. Okay, cool. So the premise that the show began with is that there are a lot of miserable millionaires out there. And how do I know that? Well, at times I've been a poor millionaire. Not necessarily, I wouldn't put myself necessarily as miserable, but you see people with the exact same amount of net worth, for example, and then on one day they can feel poor, and then the next day they can feel rich. Now, they can have the exact same net worth
Hmm.
and feel those two different things at the extreme. And then you go, well, based on what? Okay. And
Hmm.
often it's based on connection. Okay. So connection to their belief system, connection to the spouse, connection, like what, or disconnection. Okay. So if they're feeling rotten, it's disconnection or they've fallen into lack. Now, I developed the podcast because I saw in the industry, specifically the entrepreneurial industry, a requirement to shift and change the how people were perceiving success, and really wanted to get to have open and honest conversations with people about making millions of dollars, and then helping people build businesses and lives they love, but not at the cost of the things that mattered most. Because what I was seeing was this massive surge of money into people's accounts
Hmm.
with ease of conversion based on tools and systems and processes and trainings that are out there now, which are different from 5, 10, 20 years ago. So there was an ease of financial conversion and increasing money, but then it came with a disconnection in the family, a disconnection to a person's heart, a disconnection to what is true and right and real for them, because they saw these people and oh my gosh, that's what success looks like. Therefore, and then they get the Rolex and then they wear it once because they're too scared of wearing a Rolex in the future, or they realize that material possessions didn't
Hmm.
actually feed the part of them that they were seeking. So I'm looking to help people still make a crap ton of money, because money is incredible, money is amazing, like
Hmm.
period. You can't shift and change my belief system around that. It is incredible. And what you choose to do with it, aka how you connect to the money and use the money, maketh or breaketh your happiness, maketh or breaketh your joy, your fulfillment. So to that point, your other question was who was the funnest, or who was the best podcast guest? Well,
Funny shit. Yeah.
well, it's interesting because I love fun, and I will laugh at a good fart. I will think it is the funniest thing in the world. Like I just find, so I am like a 13-year-old when it comes to potty humor. When it comes to the Happy Millie show, it's funny because I'm being guided to ask this question or answer this question in a slightly different way, because the last four guests that I've had on, or the last three guests actually, have been men, and all of them have cried. Now, cried tears of relief, cried tears of honesty, cried tears of fulfillment, cried. So I'm really proud of that. And it's like, so I'm answering the question differently because it's not fun to make
Fine. There's no rules.
men cry, but it's really fulfilling to assist people in being so open and honest and creating a platform where they have the ability to say, don't do it that way. I messed up over there. Please don't. Please listen to me. So it's yeah. So, I mean, there's lots of fun. We have lots of fun. It is very raw, real, and honest. We joke about stuff on the show. But the best part is the transformation that happens on the show, and then the transformation that happens with people listening to the show where their lives change. Yeah.
No, I do love that because I heard two things here. One, money's great. I'm great with money, but what are you actually going to develop and be? What are you sacrificing compared to it? If is it not, because I think, like you said, they thought if I got a bunch of money, I would be happy, but that really wasn't what they were seeking. Then you help them find that. The second part on your podcast, so men in society, at least here in America, are told not to cry normally. Like it took me
Mm.
years to cry. So like when a man genuinely, because there are charlatans out there that can just fake cry too, which I can read through that crap. But when men really genuinely break down and cry like that, it's super genuine and normally very healing for them and very healing probably even for people listening in the audience, at least from a male's perspective, because men are told not to cry normally.
Mm. I think it's it's a shame that men are programmed societally, and it's in New Zealand as well, not to cry. By the same token, I think a lot of women feel that tears a lot of the time are perceived as weak. So I think even women shut down and don't cry as much as their bodies might need them to release the pent up fear, the pent up anger, the pent up rage, the pent up trauma. There is such healing in tears that if it was um, more well recognized as a healing modality, people would allow themselves to do it more.
The thing is that I think once we get past caring what people think about us and how we're
Mm,
perceived, we're open up more to being able to release and do, at least in my thing, because like I deal in sales professional world, so like I deal with prima donnas every day. Like that world is full of I'm gonna one up you, and I'm just like whatever. But I think once you get to the point where you can open up and just be authentically you, that's really what life is. Make $1 billion. I'm good with you making a billion. Make 2 billion. Make 150 million. I don't know. What do you want to do? I guess that's the thing that I'm more interested in now. Because like I've made money. So I go on trips. My wife and I are going to Kauai again. I love going to Hawaii. It's an awesome place. But I've been there. So now I'm like, okay, cool. Well, it's great. I want to do it, but what am I doing more? And I guess that's just where I want to shift it here. Because this is the theme I've heard throughout the whole conversation is I can help you make money. I can help you do this. I can help you do that. But in reality, you need to figure out what you really want to do with your life and live that. And that's really what matters. That's at least when I think of you, that's what you shine. I don't fucking care what anyone else says or does. I'm going to be the queen of Kapow and be Liz Benny and help you do what you want to do. And that's just where my mind goes with you.
wow, thank you. Thank you for seeing me in that way. That means that I am being who I am. And it's interesting that you say that, and it's interesting that I use those words because recently I have had the opportunity to see people behind the scenes and then see what they are like online. And it's concerning to me sometimes because the people that you see behind the scenes, the truth of the person is not actually a lot of the time what is online.
Mhm.
And when people come up to me, like you've met me in person, you know that this is
Yep.
literally me.
Yes, 100%.
And if you look at my social, it's literally me. Like I don't use AI to create captions because I want the essence of me to come through in all that I do. I'm not anti AI. I used AI yesterday to help me edit some video. So I'm not like on the anti bandwagon there. But at the end of the day, I think that, and I think the phrase authenticity Beautiful Joe. I think the phrase authenticity has become so cliche that people don't even know what that means, which is actually part of the reason why I changed the A of Kapow, because people were saying, well, what does Kapow mean? I was like, let me feel into what Kapow actually is. And it is, and I'll just say this again, it's connection, right? That's the K. And for those of you that are watching right now, my Zoom is giving me a big old thumbs up, and if I put these jazz hands up, I think I might even get a celebration, or I don't know, if I do the peace sign, something might happen. Anyway, sorry, those of you who are listening to the audio right now are like, Liz, just get to the point, please. Shh. ADHD. Hi, how are we, squirrel? Um, and where was I? That's actually really funny. I literally derailed myself in that.
I got distracted by it too, but you were talking about the K, then you got to the A, you were
Oh,
talking
there we
about
go. So,
authenticity.
perfect. Thank you. Woo. So authenticity, I think, is this thing where it feels good and people have it in fleeting moments, but then what does it mean? And I think true authenticity, when people go, oh my gosh, I feel like I can be myself around Liz, or I feel like I can be my full self around George Bryant, okay, one of our mutual
Mhm.
dear friends, okay, and I know that I feel like I can be myself 100% around you as well. So, but authenticity doesn't mean anything at the end of the day unless you kind of know how to, like, what does it mean? What
Mhm.
does it mean? And then that's why I shifted and changed it from like, the A of Kapow to aligned, because
Mm.
alignment feels way different to authenticity. And through alignment, through feeling alignment with your calling, your purpose, your beingness, your state of, like, when you are aligned, if you think about it from a, whether your belief system is like the chakra line, like, you know, your chakras are lined up, and you can look at it from a woo woo standpoint and say, well, look, you know, I'm open to hear my higher calling, and you know, my crown chakra is open. And you can look at it from a biblical reference standpoint and go, I am feeling the Holy Spirit come through me. So you can look at it from whatever way you need to look at it through to feel that that is alignment. And when you are aligned, you are operating in your authentic power. So alignment leads to being authentic. Does that make sense?
Because when you said alignment, I was like, oh, like I felt it, like that there, because like I'm all about being authentic, but I haven't liked the word as of late, and it's just been bugging me, and I didn't know what word I wanted to throw in there. So when you said alignment, you'll probably see me use that now. I'm going to steal that from you. So thank you for giving me that.
You're so welcome.
But no, I think that's what people need to be. You just have to be fucking you. And I think the problem is that we keep trying to be someone else or what someone else says we should be, and it doesn't work. And I'm tired of that game. That game I
Mm,
tried, and it's no fun.
And I think that people don't even realize sometimes that they are walking around, and they're walking around with programming that is literally not them. And it's not until you unplug. And I have these moments, even now, like yesterday, I was like, I'm out. Like, I'm disconnecting. I was like, all these plugs were in me, and my body was starting to like overload. And I was like, I just need me.
Mhm.
That's what I need right now. I need my body to be not around any other human being right now, because I need to unplug. I need to sleep. I need to reset. And often, when we are feeling off, it is because there are too many plugs going on, and we
Mhm.
just need to unplug, then be like, where is my power coming from? What does it want? Yeah, there it is. Hi, I'm back. Hi, I'm back, but better. By the way, the reason why I said that is that I see some people go, I'm back. And I'm like, I never want to be back.
Right.
Because if I'm back, I'm going back to a former version of me that actually negates the lesson that I had in the journey of like the valley below, right? So
Mm.
I'm like I'm back and better. That would be another way of saying it. I'm the 4.0 version of me.
Oh, and I love that because I think too many times we see people do the pattern. They're back, they do the same thing, they crash. They're
Well,
back,
why
they
would
do
you
the
want to
same
go
thing,
back?
they crash. Yeah, I've already been there. I already got that T-shirt. I don't want that same T-shirt. I want a new T-shirt.
It's stinky. Throw it out.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that. I love that. Before I let you go, What other have we missed anything in this conversation? Like we've touched on a lot of different stuff.
I think that I'm gonna speak to the person that is listening to this right now, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, Liz, this has been amazing. It's incredible. It juiced me up. I feel good. I feel high vibration. This is amazing." I just want to invite everyone to the fact that there is a higher level of living, a higher level of being for each and every one of us. And even if your life is okay, right? You might have couple of $100,000 more in the bank than you need, right? And when you're looking around, it's very easy to compare yourself to the homeless people, right? If you turn the TV on, don't do that. But if you can see that you are quote unquote ahead of a lot of other people. My suggestion to you is to stop judging yourself relative to where you are to other people, that you're making something else mean like you don't even really know what other people's lives are like anyway. So stop that and ask yourself, what is your calling? What is your life about? How much money do you want to make? What money do you ideally need to come into for you to live life at the level that you know is true and right and real for you? And if that is $1 million a month, let that be okay. If that is $100,000 per year, let that be okay. And my main thing is, please use other people as inspiration for sure, but build your life in alignment with what is true and right and real for you. And choose to have people around you that are in support of your top values. Because if you're misaligned in values to even your significant other, right? Let's say, wealth is not important to them, or whatever. Misalignment in values can cause disarray, disruption, dis-ease. So just be very mindful that you want to have and you want to surround yourself with people who are aligned from a value standpoint to you.
I love that. I forgot to do it in the middle, so we're going to do it now. Where can people find you?
So if people want to hang out, if people want to check me out, lizbenny.com is my website. If people want to hang out in the socials, it's easier if you could just come find me personally. I do have a Facebook page, but just facebook.com/lizbennyhome, or on IG, it's just @lizbenny.
Awesome. Thank you, Liz. We will put this in the show notes. Like Liz and I have been talking. Go out and build a life you want to love waking up to, because it's what you're here for. The rest doesn't matter. No one else gets a vote. Until next time, be amazing.